And I have a non-binary 12-year-old child, and that's part of the reason I left the United States, because it's not safe for any trans or gay person now in America.
Wow, talk about virtue signaling. She hit every talking point she could.
Ma'am, you don't have a non-binary 12-year-old. You have a 12-year-old daughter or son that is confused, that you have brainwashed to use as an accessory to virtue signal to your celebrity friends. Hey guys, we're here with another Normal Gays React video where we take on the LGBT community's insanity from the perspective of normal gays who haven't lost their minds just yet. I'm Brad Polumbo, here with TikTok extraordinaire Clarkson Lawson. Clarkson, I'm guessing you're a huge Rosie O'Donnell fan, right? The woke actress.
I loved seeing her TikToks in the height of COVID because it always was a good reminder that I needed to put chapstick on. So I'm a big fan. No, honestly, I don't know. I don't hate any actors or anything like that, but I'm sure that she's gonna say some things that annoy me.
I think chapstick is fake, by the way. I think it makes your lips more chapped, so you need more chapstick.
I'm gonna have to be a hard disagree on that one. It depends on the chapstick.
Well, we can come back to that, but Rosie actually, I don't know, for people who don't know this, Rosie actually fled America and moved to Ireland after Trump's election, which I found hysterical and absurd, but I will at least give Rosie credit for like actually doing it. Like all these celebrities say they're going to do it, but she actually did.
Yeah, I mean, her and Ellen, I guess they both meant what they said, so good for them. Honestly, maybe I don't hate Rosie O'Donnell. Maybe I respect her a little bit.
Well, you might not after this, because she just did an interview with the Gay Times and went on this little rant, including mentioning the delightful detail that she has a non-binary 12-year-old. All right, let's listen to this.
It's not safe for any trans or gay person now in America. The trans community is unfairly marginalized by the political agenda of the GOP, and it's very tragic and sad, and I think every person in the LGBTQIA community needs to gather around and support them. When I was growing up, they didn't like on bikes. They thought that gay women who were male and mask presenting were kind of not the right image for the gay community. And the same thing's happening now to trans people, and it's wrong. And I have a non-binary 12-year-old child, and that's part of the reason I left the United States, because it's not safe for any trans or gay person now in America, or any woman, if you ask me. And I'm happy to be in a country like Ireland that supports gay and lesbian and trans people, and also supports women and the people of Gaza.
Wow, talk about virtue signaling. She hit every talking point she could.
There's so much there to unpack. Ma'am, you don't have a non-binary 12-year-old. You have a 12-year-old daughter or son that is confused, that you have brainwashed to use as an accessory to virtue signal to your celebrity friends.
Yeah, and I also find it interesting how she's saying like, oh, years ago it was on bikes, like they had a problem with masculine presenting lesbians, right? And it's like, do you not see the irony here? That
They're turning them all into boys now.
Do you not see that you're doing the same thing? It's like you're not making the point that you think you are. Oh God. But yeah, no, that was a lot.
I think it's insane to say that America is not safe for gay people. Like, that's just not true. There's no statistical reality bearing that out. There's no wave of laws harming gay people. You sound ridiculous. In fact, you know, other than maybe America a couple of years ago, before some of the current backlash, there's really never been a better place to be gay in human history than America in 2025. I mean, maybe a couple other countries in the world, maybe America a few years ago when things weren't quite as intense, but it's still like a remarkably safe and free country for gay people. And it kind of belittles the horrors that gay people faced in this country and still do in many places around the world when you lie like this, when you just say things that are so obviously untrue.
Yeah, I wish that many of these people who believe that it is their soul's mission to help out gay people would use this energy to actually help out gay people who are being oppressed right now in other countries. Because if they did, then maybe we could actually make a difference. But instead, it's like they want to virtue signal. They deep down they know it's not a problem. Because if it was a problem, you wouldn't be fleeing the country, you'd be trying to help. Or you would actually be boots on the ground trying to help. But for them, it's just more of, getting the points to the people online who are going to be like, yay, you support me. Love you.
Well,
That's
also,
pretty
like,
much it.
what is she talking about? It's not a safe country for women. She's just saying because what? You can't get easy access to an abortion in some states. I mean, we can have that debate, but it does not transform your country into a dystopia where women are unsafe. That is
Right.
absurd hyperbole and does not reflect reality. Even if I will happily acknowledge that some of the pro-life laws in these red states are poorly written, are very extreme. I don't support that, but it's like to pretend that it is unsafe to be a woman in America. Like, you sound like you're describing Afghanistan under the Taliban and you're talking about America in 2025. It's just hysterical. And yes, I will call a woman hysterical because she is being hysterical.
Well, I think what we have to remember here, and I will put some blame on Donald Trump for this too, is that Hollywood types moving into politics are why everything has become so theatric and not based in reality. These are creatives, they are actors, they are entertainers, they are performers, and they have entirely shifted how people consume political information. And I think that Donald Trump is to blame a lot for this. But everybody in Hollywood is part of it.
Even on the trans portion of this, I don't think it's unsafe to, like, physically unsafe to be a trans person in America. I definitely think it's a tough time to be a trans person in America. There's a lot of societal backlash. There's some laws restricting adults, what they can do with their body, that I don't support. But I've
Yeah.
looked at this in depth, and that you hear this narrative that, like, trans people or trans women of color are being murdered at these alarming rates. It's literally not statistically true. They have a below average murder rate that of course, every murder, every killing is still tragic. Hate crimes are evil. But this idea that even trans women of color, even black trans people, have a lower murder rate than the average black person in America. I did the math on this for an article for Quillette a little while back. It is a false narrative that fuels people's paranoia and fear that's not justified. Like, it is not physically unsafe to be trans in America.
Well, I remember a few years back when I was like first starting to deep dive on all of this information, I was looking at all of the like trans deaths that, Pink News was talking about. And when you actually pull up each case, most, if not all, but most had nothing to do with their identity. It was like
They just
domestic
happened to
violence,
be trans and were
just
killed
happened to
in
be trans.
doing sex
But
work or something like
right,
that.
or something like that. And you can make the argument that if they weren't
Still
oppressed, they
sad,
would
still tragic.
still sad. And you can say, maybe if they didn't face this amount of societal oppression, they wouldn't have to resort to sex work. I can understand that argument. I don't know about it, but I can understand it. But at the end of the day, they're using the death of these people as political capital. And it's so disingenuous because if you are trans and you're walking through life genuinely fearful when you don't have to be, that's not a way to live. And I hope that even though, we talk about a lot of these things, that if somebody who's trans is watching this can receive that information and maybe be a little bit happier if they've been ingesting a lot of leftist content, because nobody's really talking about that. You don't
I
have to
also
be
think
terrified.
it fuels people's radicalism. Like, a lot, one of the reasons I focus a lot on hysterical, alarmist rhetoric and notions is because when people believe these things, if you literally believe that eugenics and fascism is coming back to America via the Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, then that's how you end up in the crazy place where you're like rooting for a president to be assassinated. And so it's
Mhm.
this underlying misperception of reality. It's this undue fear and alarm that people have that fuels the radicalism that I really worry about that's on the rise in this country.
Yeah, I mean, it's all because of identity-based messaging. That's the conclusion that I've come to. If you attack people's identities, you put them in a state of fear, and it's really hard to get them out of that emotional state and to start thinking rationally. So the trans messaging, whether you're Black, an immigrant, whatever it might be, identity politics really is at the root of it, I think.
I'm still not over the non-binary 12-year-old thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
I
I'm
mean,
going to be cursed, though. I think my kids are all going to identify as non-binary to be rebellious against me.
I could see that happening. I don't know. I mean, if as long as they're not on hormones, I say let them go through it. You know, do whatever you got to do. When I
That's
was
the
young, I
thing.
remember. Go ahead.
Explain, like Rosie, explain what challenges or threats your daughter or son is facing because they got a haircut and put she/they in their bio. Like, walk me
Right.
through this. It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. And there was a time in my childhood where I wanted to change my name because I wanted to sound more like a vampire from Twilight. I changed my my parents let me change my name on Facebook. They're like, "Sure." I was like, "You guys need to call me this name." And it was just like a fun thing that I did as a kid. And I think, you know, if you're a parent and that's all that it is, then just let it play out. But in this case, it seems like she's kind of using it as a trophy.
Yeah, like an accessory, like a way to virtue signal to her woke friends. I really hate it, but what do you
Yeah.
guys think? Are you team Rosie on this one? Do you agree? Will you be fleeing to Ireland soon? Let us know in the comments. Do hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't yet. Remember to also subscribe to Clarkson's YouTube channel, linked in the description. And guys, we'll be back with more normal gays content real soon.